Part 2 of the Keep Track Week wrap-up starts with dealer mistakes. Wasn't much of a difference. It was 5 in Vegas and 6 in Council Bluffs. I don't even remember if I had a prediction, but it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't a very interesting videos. In Oklahoma, it was incredibly interesting because they shut down the bingo room and lost so many poker dealers during the quarantine that bingo employees were turned into poker dealers, and they were incredibly new, and there were a ton of mistakes. I think there were like about 30 in 10 hours in Windstar last year, April, May, and part of June. And out here and in Council Bluffs, there was about 1 an hour compared to 3 an hour in Oklahoma. So they were much more interesting. I had to be a lot more vigilant to keep the game moving, to prevent massive amounts of time being wasted for the floor to come over and sort something out. So it would have been a better count in Oklahoma, which I did put up on Twitter last year, but I didn't have a channel yet. Out here, it was about the same as in Council Bluffs, and not so much to it. But hands I won in 10 hours. I thought it would be more in Vegas, and it was more. I got this one exactly right. It was 19 out here in Vegas compared to 13 and a half in Council Bluffs. The bigger indicator of the difference in games was that there were 7 times I won a hand in Vegas where I raised pre and everyone folded, and that only happened once in Council Bluffs. That is a huge difference, and that's part of the reason I suspected it would be a lot more in Vegas. Also funny that I won in Council Bluffs, only winning 13 and a half hands, and I had a losing day in Vegas winning 19 hands. When there's a pot to win, there's a lot more in it. I didn't say this during the Keep Track Week video, but a lot of pots in Council Bluffs are huge, even though they only have 1 bet post-flop. There's a lot of times there's a raise pre, let's say to 15, 5 people see the flop, so there's 75 out there, plus the blinds minus the rake. Let's say there's 70. Say the flop checks through. You know, it's kind of scary for everybody. Well, then on the turn, after the flop checking, you're confident you're ahead with like 1 decent pair, you bet. Well, the point of the bet is to price out draws. So into a pot of 70, you can't bet like 15. You have to bet like 40 or 50 bucks. One guy calls, everyone else folds, and the river goes check, check, you win at showdown. That hand happens in Council Bluffs a lot, and you end up winning like $100 that hand. When that hand happens in Vegas, it's heads up the whole way, and you only take like $25 off the guy. So it's a huge difference, those small pots in Council Bluffs, which is why I can have a winning day winning 13 and a half hands in Council Bluffs and a losing day winning 19 hands out here in Vegas. Day 7 was the very interesting one. 49 out of 80 raised flops in Council Bluffs, 31 limped, and the exact same numbers out here in Vegas, which was very surprising. But you know, the 2 things that this count didn't capture, one was how many hands it took to see 80 flops. I bet in Council Bluffs it was like 88, 90. Out here, I bet it was like 130 or something. I wasn't counting that, but a lot of hands get chopped out here. A lot of hands. There's 1 raise pre, everybody folds. Even the 3-bet pots. In Council Bluffs, there's a 3-bet. Hands are still 4-way to the flop. Then when there's a 3-bet out here, usually that ends the hand. So a lot of differences. Another characteristic that wasn't caught in the count was multi-way flops. There are a lot of raised pots out here in Vegas that are heads up. That's the norm. In Council Bluffs, that is the exception. There's a ton of 4- and 5-way flops, even with raises. So the point of that count, day 7, was to give an indicator of how good the games are, and it didn't really capture that because you didn't see how many hands were not included on the way to 80 flops, and I didn't count how many times the flops were heads up or multi-way, whether it was limped or raised. So still say games are better in Council Bluffs, even though that was a very interesting count where the numbers were identical. And just a scheduling update, tomorrow I will put up an update on my 2022 poker goals. I put that video up when I got back from Council Bluffs, and starting on the 21st is my challenge, 100 hours in 10 days. That's 10 days of videos, the 21st through the 30th, and a wrap-up video at the end on October 1st. So enjoy all that.